What if your greatest pain was never meant to destroy you, but to awaken a hidden power within? There exists a philosophy so confronting, so brutally honest about the nature of human suffering, that the world has spent over a century trying to misunderstand it. A way of thinking that doesn't promise comfort, but something far more valuable: transformation. His name was Friedrich Nietzsche, a philosopher who walked alone through valleys of suffering that would have broken lesser minds. Chronic pain, isolation, misunderstanding. And yet, from that abyss of struggle, he extracted a forbidden truth that the modern world desperately wants to forget. That pain is not your enemy. That suffering is not a design flaw in existence. That your greatest battles are not curses. They are invitations to become something more than what you are. Nietzsche, the philosopher feared and misunderstood, discovered what ancient warriors and mystics knew: that suffering, when embraced and understood, becomes the crucible of strength. It becomes the forge where ordinary souls are refined into something extraordinary. Today we descend into Nietzsche's forbidden philosophy. We will explore how his ideas reveal the hidden path from pain to power, from suffering to strength, from chaos to creation. This is not for everyone. This philosophy does not comfort. It does not coddle. It demands something of you. But if you felt the weight of struggle pressing down on your chest, if you've known the sting of betrayal, the ache of loss, the silent scream of unfulfilled potential, then perhaps this message was meant for you. Let us begin. The world's fear of pain. We live in an age of anesthesia. A civilization built on the promise that pain can be avoided. That suffering is optional. That if you just buy the right product, follow the right program, adopt the right mindset, you can live a life of perpetual comfort. Society whispers its seductive lie into our ears from the moment we're born. Run from pain. Numb yourself. Seek pleasure. Avoid conflict. Stay safe. Choose comfort. The modern world has become a sanctuary for the comfortable, a temple dedicated to the god of ease. We have constructed elaborate systems to insulate ourselves from discomfort. We medicate sadness. We swipe away rejection. We binge-watch through boredom. We scroll through loneliness. We treat every moment of discomfort as a problem to be solved, an enemy to be defeated. But Nietzsche saw something different when he looked at this obsession with comfort. He recognized it for what it truly was: the slow death of the human spirit. Because pain, Nietzsche understood, is not a design flaw. It's a feature of existence itself. It's life's way of testing what you're made of separating those who will become something extraordinary from those who will remain forever ordinary. Society teaches us to avoid suffering, to seek comfort, to fear discomfort. But Nietzsche saw a different path. He understood that to avoid pain is to avoid growth. To run from struggle is to run from the very experiences that forge strength, character, and depth. Consider for a moment, every great achievement in human history was born from struggle. Every masterpiece emerged from an artist's torment. Every revolution began with suffering that could no longer be endured. Every hero was forged in the flames of adversity, not in the comfort of ease. The warrior is made in battle, not in the barracks. The diamond is formed under pressure, not in the stream. The phoenix rises from ashes, not from comfort. Those who embrace struggle, who walk through it consciously rather than running from it or numbing themselves to it, discover a power that the masses can never comprehend. They discover something within themselves that cannot be touched by external circumstances. A core of strength that exists independent of comfort or validation. Pain, when faced and transformed, becomes a source of unshakable authority. Think about your own life for a moment. Your deepest growth. When did it happen? In moments of ease? Or in moments when you were pushed to your absolute limits? When you thought you couldn't continue but somehow, impossibly, you did. The truth is uncomfortable, but it's true nonetheless. Your comfortable moments have made you soft. Your painful moments have made you strong. And this is where Nietzsche's forbidden philosophy begins, with a single, radical choice that goes against everything modern society teaches. Stop running from pain. Start facing it. Not because you're masochistic. Not because you seek suffering for its own sake. But because you understand something the comfortable world has forgotten. That the only way out is through. That the only way up requires going down first. That if you want to rise above mediocrity, you must descend into the depths of your own suffering and emerge transformed. What kind of person would you become if you stopped running from pain and learned to master it? Nietzsche's core ideas. To understand how to transform pain into power, we must first understand the forbidden truths at the heart of Nietzsche's philosophy. 3 concepts form the foundation of his thinking about suffering and strength. At the heart of his philosophy lies the will to power. Now, this phrase has been misunderstood, twisted, used to justify things Nietzsche never intended. So let's be clear about what it actually means. The will to power is not about domination over others. It's not about control or tyranny or forcing your will upon the weak. That's a shallow, corrupt interpretation. The will to power is something far more profound. It's the fundamental drive within all living things to overcome themselves, to grow beyond their current limitations, to expand, to create, to become more than they currently are. It's the drive that pushes the seedling through concrete, the force that makes the artist create despite poverty, the fire that keeps the athlete training despite pain. It's the deep, almost primal urge within you to transcend your current state, to overcome obstacles, to refuse to remain static. For Nietzsche, this is the essential characteristic of life itself. Life doesn't seek comfort. Life seeks growth. Life seeks to overcome resistance. And human beings, when they're most alive, seek not pleasure but challenge. Not ease but meaning. Not comfort but creation. The will to power is your drive to overcome yourself, to grow beyond limitation, to refuse to accept that who you are today is all you can ever be. Then there is amor fati, love of fate. At first, this seems paradoxical. How can we love our fate when our fate includes suffering, loss, betrayal, pain? But Nietzsche's amor fati is not passive resignation. It's not saying, I give up, or, I accept my victimhood. It's something entirely different. Amor fati is the radical acceptance that everything that has happened to you, including and especially your suffering, is necessary for your transformation. It's the understanding that you cannot cherry-pick your experiences. You cannot have the growth without the struggle. You cannot have the strength without the trial. To love your fate is to say, I would not change a single thing about my past, not even my deepest pain, because that pain has made me who I am. It has given me depth, resilience, wisdom that comfort could never provide. Amor fati teaches us to accept all that life offers, including suffering, as necessary for transformation. It means embracing not just the pleasant moments but the devastating ones. Not just success but failure. Not just joy but grief. Because all of it, every single experience, is refining you, shaping you, revealing to you what you're truly capable of. When you love your fate, you stop being a victim of your circumstances. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what can I become through this? And finally, there is the Übermensch, the overman, the higher self. This is perhaps Nietzsche's most misunderstood concept, so we must tread carefully here. The Übermensch is not a superior race. It's not about genetics or nationality or any external characteristic. Those who tried to use Nietzsche's philosophy to justify such things fundamentally betrayed his ideas. The Übermensch represents the individual who has overcome themselves, who has taken their suffering, their limitations, their weaknesses, and transformed them into strength, wisdom, and creative power. The Übermensch is the person who no longer needs the approval of the crowd, who no longer lives by inherited values they've never questioned, who creates their own meaning in a world that offers no inherent meaning. The Übermensch turns every wound into creation, every struggle into refinement. Where others see only pain, the Übermensch sees raw material for transformation. This is not about perfection. It's about the constant process of overcoming. It's about becoming someone who can stand in the midst of suffering and say, this will not break me. This will make me. Think of the artist who channels heartbreak into a masterpiece. The entrepreneur who transforms failure into wisdom. The survivor who takes their trauma and uses it to help others. These are glimpses of what Nietzsche meant by the higher self. It's not something you achieve once and for all. It's a constant process of self-overcoming, of taking whatever life throws at you and using it as fuel for your own transformation. These three ideas, the will to power, amor fati, and the Übermensch, form the foundation of Nietzsche's philosophy of pain. They show us that suffering is not something to be avoided at all costs, but something to be faced, embraced, and transformed into the very source of our strength. The alchemy of suffering. Now we come to the practical heart of Nietzsche's forbidden philosophy. How do we actually transform pain into power? How do we take suffering and alchemize it into strength? Pain is raw material. It is neither inherently good nor inherently evil. It simply is. Like fire, like water, like any force of nature, it's neutral potential waiting to be shaped by your response to it. The weak person is destroyed by pain because they resist it, run from it, let it define them as a victim. The strong person is forged by pain because they face it, learn from it, and use it as fuel for transformation. The difference is not in the pain itself. The difference is in how we meet it. First, we must endure consciously. This is not about gritting your teeth and pretending everything is fine. It's not about toxic positivity or spiritual bypassing. It's about being fully present with your suffering, feeling it completely, not numbing yourself or running away. When pain comes, and it will come, for pain is inseparable from life, you must make a choice. Will you numb yourself with distractions, substances, or endless entertainment? Or will you sit with the discomfort and truly feel it? Conscious endurance means acknowledging, yes, this hurts. Yes, this is difficult. Yes, I am struggling. But it also means refusing to let that pain make you passive, bitter, or resigned. You endure not because you're masochistic, but because you understand that the only way to the other side of pain is through it. There are no shortcuts. There is no way around. Only through. Second, we must interpret meaningfully. Pain itself is meaningless. It's what you make of it that matters. The same suffering that destroys one person can create a masterpiece in another. The difference is interpretation. When suffering comes, ask yourself, what is this revealing about my strength? What is this teaching me about my limits and my capacity to transcend those limits? What is this experience trying to show me? You can interpret your pain as evidence that the universe is cruel and meaningless. Or you can interpret it as the very tool by which you're being refined into something stronger. Nietzsche believed that we have the power to assign meaning to our experiences. And that power, the power of interpretation, is one of the most important powers we possess. By interpreting suffering with meaning, you transform it from something that happens to you into something that shapes you into who you choose to become. Third, we must create through suffering. This is where transformation truly happens. You take the energy of your pain, the intensity, the rawness, the fire of it, and you channel it into action, into discipline, into creation. The athlete transforms physical pain into athletic excellence. The artist transforms emotional anguish into art. The philosopher transforms existential suffering into wisdom. The entrepreneur transforms failure into resilience and strategy. What will you create from your suffering? Will you let it make you bitter, or will you let it make you better? Will you let it close your heart, or will you let it deepen your capacity for empathy and understanding? Will you let it paralyze you, or will you let it fuel your determination? Channeling anguish into action is the key to transformation. Pain that is merely endured becomes resentment. Pain that is channeled becomes power. And fourth, we must detach from pity. This is perhaps the most difficult and misunderstood aspect of Nietzsche's philosophy. Nietzsche was deeply critical of pity, not because he lacked compassion but because he understood that pity often weakens both the one who pities and the one who is pitied. When you've been through hell and emerged stronger, you don't need people to feel sorry for you. You don't need validation or sympathy or recognition of your victimhood. True strength is quiet. It doesn't seek validation. It doesn't broadcast its suffering or demand acknowledgement for its struggles. The person who has truly transformed their pain into power doesn't need others to know how much they've overcome. Their strength speaks for itself through their presence, their actions, their character. Weakness arises from avoidance. From running, numbing, denying. From clinging to victimhood and demanding that others acknowledge your suffering. True power is born from self-overcoming. From facing your pain directly, learning from it, growing through it, and emerging on the other side as someone fundamentally changed. To master oneself in the face of pain is to discover a form of authority that requires no words, no explanations, no justifications. When you have walked through fire and not been consumed, when you have descended into your own personal hell and climbed back out, you carry something with you that others can sense but cannot quite name. You radiate authority without uttering a word. The silence of power. There is a particular quality that emerges in those who have truly transformed their suffering. A quality that cannot be faked, cannot be learned from books, cannot be manufactured through affirmations or positive thinking. It's a presence, a gravity, a silent authority. Those who have embraced and transformed their suffering need not prove themselves. They don't need to boast about their struggles or display their scars or seek recognition for what they've overcome. Their presence alone commands respect. Nietzsche taught that the strongest spirits act quietly, letting their inner mastery speak. They don't need to dominate conversations or prove their worth or constantly assert themselves. Why? Because they've conquered the only opponent that truly matters, themselves. Think about the people you've met who possess this quality. Maybe it was a teacher who'd clearly been through hell but emerged with wisdom. Maybe it was a grandparent who'd survived war or loss but carried themselves with quiet dignity. Maybe it was a friend who faced tragedy and came out the other side fundamentally changed, fundamentally stronger. These people don't need to tell you they're strong. You feel it in their presence. There's a depth to them, a centeredness, a quality of being unmoved by the petty dramas and superficial concerns that consume most people. Authority emerges not from force or noise, but from the depth of a person's resilience and self-mastery. The person who has never truly suffered, who has always chosen comfort over growth, who has run from every challenge. This person might be loud, might be arrogant, might try to assert dominance through volume or aggression. But they lack substance. They lack depth. And on some level, everyone around them can sense it. In contrast, the person who has walked through their own darkness and emerged intact possesses a different kind of power entirely. They don't need to raise their voice to be heard. They don't need to assert themselves aggressively to be respected. They don't need to prove anything to anyone. They have already proven everything to themselves, and that's all that matters. This is what Nietzsche meant when he spoke of self-overcoming as the highest form of power. Not power over others, that's crude and ultimately unsatisfying. But power over yourself. Power over your reactions, your emotions, your fears, your weaknesses. When you have mastered yourself in the crucible of suffering, when you have faced your deepest pain and not been destroyed by it, you become someone who cannot be shaken by external circumstances. You become like a mountain. Storms may rage around you, but your foundation remains solid. People sense this. They may not consciously understand it, but they feel it. They feel the difference between someone who has been tested and emerged stronger, and someone who has always taken the easy path. The silent authority you cultivate through your trials speaks louder than words ever could. This is not about being cold or distant. It's not about suppressing emotion or pretending you're invulnerable. It's about having walked through fire and knowing with absolute certainty that you can survive whatever comes next. That knowledge changes how you move through the world. It changes how you respond to challenges. It changes what you find threatening and what you find merely inconvenient. And others, whether they realize it or not, respond to that change in you. The rebirth of the self. Embracing pain is not passive acceptance. It's not resignation. It's not saying, I give up, or, I surrender to victimhood. It is a deliberate act of self-creation. Every time you face suffering and choose to grow through it rather than be diminished by it, you are actively creating yourself. You are deciding who you will become. You are choosing strength over weakness, growth over stagnation, transformation over decay. Each struggle refines character. Like a blacksmith striking heated metal, each blow of difficulty shapes you, removes impurities, reveals the essential core of who you truly are. Each trial sharpens insight. Suffering has a way of cutting through all the superficial concerns and comfortable illusions we cling to. It shows us what truly matters. It reveals our priorities with brutal clarity. It burns away the unnecessary and leaves only the essential. Each wound awakens inner strength. The places where you've been broken and healed are the places where you're strongest. The scar tissue is tougher than the original skin. The bone that breaks and heals is stronger at the breakpoint than it was before. What does it mean to become stronger through suffering? It means to rise above fear. Not to never feel fear, that would be inhuman, but to feel fear and act anyway. To acknowledge the terror and uncertainty and move forward regardless. It means to stand firm when life tests you. When everything is falling apart, when the ground is shaking beneath your feet, when you have every reason to collapse, to stand firm. To refuse to give in. To hold your center. It means to discover a power that exists beyond the world's judgment. When you've walked through hell, you stop caring so much about what others think. You stop needing their approval. You stop fearing their criticism. You faced far worse than their opinions and you survived. This is the rebirth Nietzsche spoke of. Not a religious rebirth, but a psychological and existential one. A complete transformation of who you are and how you relate to suffering. You stop being someone to whom things happen. You become someone who shapes their own response to what happens. You move from passive victim to active creator of meaning. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what am I becoming through this? You stop resenting your struggles and start recognizing them as the very experiences that give your life depth, meaning, and power. This doesn't happen overnight. It's not a single moment of enlightenment. It's a gradual process of learning, failing, struggling, growing, and emerging changed. But each time you face pain and choose transformation over victimhood, you become a little more of who you're capable of being. You shed a little more of your weakness. You step a little closer to your higher self. The person who emerges from sustained suffering, if they've done the work of transformation rather than simply enduring, is fundamentally different from who they were before. They have deeper compassion born from their own pain. They have greater wisdom born from their mistakes. They have stronger character born from their trials. They have quiet authority born from their self-mastery. They have been reborn not through comfort or ease, but through the refining fire of conscious suffering. And this person, this transformed self, possesses something that those who have always chosen comfort can never have: the unshakable knowledge that they can handle whatever life throws at them. Because they already have. Conclusion: the call to inner power. We have journeyed into Nietzsche's forbidden philosophy. We have explored ideas that the comfortable world would prefer to forget. We have confronted truths that are difficult, uncomfortable, and brutally honest. So let us distill it to its essence. Remember Nietzsche's forbidden wisdom: pain is not your enemy. It never was. Your pain is not a punishment. It's not evidence that you're broken or that the universe is cruel. It's not something to be ashamed of or to run from. Pain is the forge in which your power is made. It is the heat that melts away your impurities. It is the hammer that shapes your character. It is the pressure that creates your diamond core. Every moment of suffering you have endured has left a deposit of strength within you, whether you've recognized it or not. Every trial you've survived has proven something to you about your own resilience, even if you didn't fully appreciate it at the time. Face suffering. Don't run from it. Don't numb yourself to it. Don't pretend it doesn't exist or that you're fine when you're not. Feel it fully. Sit with it. Let it teach you what it has to teach. Transform it. Channel it into action, into creation, into growth. Take the energy of your pain and use it as fuel for becoming something more than you currently are. Let your struggles reveal the strength already within you. That strength has always been there, waiting. It's not something you gain from outside. It's something you uncover through the process of being tested and choosing to rise rather than fall. Do not seek approval or recognition for your suffering. The world doesn't need to know what you've been through. You don't need anyone's pity or sympathy or acknowledgement. What you need is to know in your own heart that you walked through fire and were not consumed. Let the silent authority you cultivate through your trials speak louder than words ever could. Your presence will communicate what your words cannot. Those who have eyes to see will recognize in you the quality of someone who has been tested and emerged stronger. And those who don't recognize it, they don't matter. Your power awaits within the very trials you fear. That thing you're running from, that pain you're trying to avoid, that struggle you're attempting to circumvent, that difficulty you're hoping will somehow disappear, that is precisely where your transformation waits. On the other side of that fear, that pain, that struggle is a version of yourself that you cannot currently imagine. A stronger, wiser, more resilient version. But you can only meet that version by walking through the fire that stands between who you are and who you can become. Nietzsche's philosophy is not for those who seek comfort. It's not for those who want easy answers or gentle reassurance. It's for those who are willing to look at the darkness of existence and not turn away. For those who are willing to embrace their suffering as a teacher rather than curse it as an enemy. For those who understand that greatness is not born from ease but from struggle. The choice is yours as it has always been. Will you run from your pain, numb yourself to it, let it make you bitter and small? Or will you face it, embrace it, transform it into the very source of your power? Will you remain ordinary, comfortable, and ultimately unfulfilled? Or will you descend into your own darkness and emerge reborn? Nietzsche's forbidden wisdom offers no comfort. But it offers something far more valuable: the path to becoming who you were truly meant to be. A person of depth, of strength, of quiet, unshakable authority. A person who has turned pain into power. The forge is hot. The hammer is raised. The work of transformation awaits. What will you become?